So this video is on 12/25, Christmas Day of 2019, and this is at 1410 Ewing Street. Sorry, I'm used to saying numbers this evening. And hold on, let's get this to work. Hold on. This is David Ford Allen, my neighbor at 1502 Ewing Street. He broke into my property roughly 6 weeks before this, 5 weeks before this, and comes up to the window of my bedroom and says that he can help me. And I'm like, how? I didn't know I did anything. I didn't know I needed it. But so thinking that maybe I could take his help, I'm not really sure what the help he was going to offer. I told him, well, the reason I could use some help is that my wife's narcoleptic. We've had the hypersomnolence narcolepsy type 2, a very serious disease that's almost akin to schizophrenia and Parkinson's, and that it's incredibly difficult. And he said, well, they have services for that, like social services. I said, those services don't do anything. In fact, the general hospital doesn't do anything for narcolepsy. In fact, they don't have enough knowledge to. I'm looking for something like Stanford. At which point he said my wife had stolen his wallet, and I said, that's impossible. My wife has never met you, and I've never met you. You're trespassing on my property. And he said, oh, and like you? I said, what are you talking about? At which point someone else started to break into the property from above, and I said, could you stop them from trying to break into the property? And he goes, ha! Yeah, right, and walks away. I'm stunned and bewildered at this whole incident, and a few weeks later, as I said, Christmas Day, he comes up and takes the ring off my front gate, violently, unprovoked, and throws it down the block. That is the end of my ring. I am unfortunately forced to buy another one, and another one, and another one. I'm now 7 rings later. And yeah, they have a policy where they'll replace a ring. I've yet to use that because the qualifications for replacing a ring are like in the first 15 days, a police report must be submitted to them, and blah, blah, blah. If you don't do that immediately, you can't even get a police report in 2 weeks, first of all. You can't get a policeman to show up in LA after COVID in less than, like, 2 months. But to get a police report in less than 2 weeks, that's unheard of. It takes, like, 10 days, bare minimum, 14 days once they get the extension just to get a response back from the California Records Request Act, LAPD online portal. So I just keep playing this video for y'all, but getting your camera replaced, not possible. This guy's name, David Ford Allen, or Ford Allen David. He considers himself a conceptual artist, and the funny thing is we have a lot of relatable facts about each other. He and I both have the same job at one time in our life at the Harvey Milk Photo Center as the chemist and photo technician for setting up the developer. We are both also art school academic affairs office employees, helping students with their course curriculum planning, their IDs, their art theory, their art history, their residential situations, as it were. So he and I both work for different art schools. I the San Francisco Art Institute, and him the SVA, School of Visual Arts. And so these two jobs put us on such a parallel track that also being a conceptual artist as well as he, and having many nonprofit and otherwise similar organizations to his, you would think that we'd be able to see eye to eye. But this man does a bunch of graffiti on my building as though he thinks it's a piece of conceptual art because he's doing some sort of interplay between the graffiti of the street and his idea of the critic from a perspective of he can see the house with the graffiti on it, therefore he must film it and call it art. I removed the graffiti from my own building by cleaning the building because people shouldn't do graffiti on other people's houses, and he's offended and then takes videos of this and shares them on Google Businesses, in which he attempts to slander my business called the Harwell Hamilton Harris Fellowship Parkway Conservancy by declaring that we don't do any business there, that it's just a storage shithole for some junk. Well, that, my friend, is the stuff that belongs to Ross Plessette. He's a writer for Le Femme Fatale magazine, and that is his home that you were talking shit on and at the time. And that is also just a building that we are attempting to restore for our non-profit, because we are believers in cultural heritage and attempting to do good with the Elysian Park neighborhood by saving the oldest green and green related, also modernist related, glass building in the world, the predating of the Farnsworth House and the Philip Johnson House by over 10 or 14 years, would put the Harwell Hamilton Harris Fellowship Parkway House as the most important house lost in all of modernity, this side of, Berlin. And I would like to be known that that is our true intent with this place, is to save it from its ultimate destruction, from being forgotten about, just like our current home was a Sears and Roebuck brick building from 1910 that also deserves to be preserved, and it's a piece of vernacular architecture that deserves to be preserved, built by an anarchist who was very well known for protecting the fallout of the Spooky Lagoon trials, the Mexicans such as Ruben Pina, who lived in my house, who are tried wrongly and acquitted for murder of a boy during the Zoot Suit riots, and 600 others were put on trial for that case too, which is a massive amount of Mexican immigrants that were charged with murder, and Ruben Pina was the 6th or 7th one acquitted in the original 25 that were actually putting into a real trial. Miss Ann Regati built this house and property, both the top and bottom, and it is our pleasure to restore it and turn its remaining property into a botanical garden for the community. But my neighbor, David Ford Allen, doesn't like us removing graffiti and doing a good thing for the neighborhood, so he sends my hill and breaks in and attempts to white trash talk my wife for no reason, which is just a really unsightly and terrible thing to be doing to people. And since then, we've made the friends of the rest of the community and neighborhood, and have given the view back that it was missing for 30 years from the top of the hill by doing the gardening. And he should know that by now we were basically good people, but evidently he is still intent on filing false claims of things, because he's joined the Church of Scientology's latest attempt to defraud us of our house and property fraud schemes that are akin to equity skimming, human labor trafficking, and assault with a deadly weapon, assault, drunk driving, title theft, mortgage fraud, equity skimming, property skimming, illegal dumping, and like I said, human labor trafficking, because he doesn't pay anybody. Richard Judson Williams, the man 2 doors over, or 1 door over from David Ford Allen, doesn't pay anybody their rightful salary. He takes out $150,000 plus of PPP loan money for 14 employees, but he only has 1 recorded employee himself. Same as his partner, Joshua Timothy Markinson, who does the same thing, except for they transferred the title to my house into Joshua's name from his wife's name, Chenny Shapiro, and now old, what's his name, David Ford Allen has had his house reappraised recently because he's thinking about doing a 1031 tax-deferred exchange swap of his property for some other property, which would allow him to drive the value of it up in the swapping process and gain extra money where he doesn't have to pay it on the capital gains, because that's the name of the game. And he's been taught this by Richard Judson Williams, so he thinks that he's going to continue to defraud me by attempting to say that he has had his wallet stolen by my wife, which is bullshit. Yet he is right here on video camera stealing our ring and throwing it down the block on Christmas. Doesn't he have anything better to do, like have children that he has to take care of? I know he has 2 children, and he's divorced, so there must be some reason that this man has nothing better to do than run up the hill on Christmas Day and throw our ring down the block. I'm just saying, he's part of the Church of Scientology now, and his art is really terrible, and he really, really ought to actually be nice and consider dropping his bullshit, because I'm going to press charges now. Thank you very much.